Hello, good evening, and welcome to another Quizzy Monday. Let me move that mic a little bit closer. There we go. Welcome to another Quizzy Monday. We've had a great night. We had a very, very close mastermind. Really exciting show. Only 1 point in it. Some great play there, particularly in the general knowledge. We had a very good university challenge as well. And we'll be talking about that later. We'll also be talking about Mastermind and a Mastermind predictions competition. Later on, we've also got Quiz and Team of the Week and some news from the world of quiz. And coming up very shortly, we've got a chat about the third and fourth place playoff from Only Connect. We have got 3 guests from that show. Really looking forward to talking about that. Before we get going, just a couple of updates. What is the question? Last week, the answer was lemon. The winner was this question from Wilton Spinach. What fruit did life presumably hand Beyonce to allow her to make her 6th studio album? Well done to Wilton. This week's answer needed question is bridge. You can now vote on the long list at tinyurl.com/WITQ bridge. Voting's open as ever till Wednesday, and on Wednesday we'll release the shortlist to try and find a winner. And every day on Facebook and Twitter we have lunchtime quiz time. And today's question: what is the first and oldest .com domain name on the internet? It was first registered in March 1985. So I think those are the updates from this week. Let's take that off and let's get right in with the discussion. Don't forget, you can put comments and questions in the chat. We've got Catherine saying evening, Steve saying evening, Benjamin say, hey, good evening, bonsoir, Benjamin. And brilliant, yes, Steve. Who remembers the team that comes third? Claire says definitely the finalists and the team that came fourth. Well, let's see if that is true. We will bring on from the third place team, Mercians, Pam and Ian, and from the fourth place team, Ben. Good evening, all.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, I mean, that's it. Only Connect is over as far as you're all concerned. They all say, or at least Victoria says, the third, fourth place playoff is her favourite game of the series. We saw them playing around with some of the questions tonight. They didn't do one in the series that I was in, so I don't know what it's like to play in one. Is it as much fun with as little pressure as it seems to be?
I think it did. Yeah, I think it did seem quite fun to me.
Yeah. No, it was highly competitive, I thought. I thought we definitely wanted to come third.
Oh, you did you, Ian? Oh,
Did you feel the same way, Ben? Did you really want to come third?
I wasn't bothered at all. I've got to be honest at that point. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, clearly we'd like to have won. It wasn't that it wasn't like we weren't trying or anything. But yeah, for me, the adrenaline had gone and just much more relaxed.
Yeah.
And that's what I remember, sitting there just enjoying it, because we were so much more relaxed than we had been in all the previous games, and it was really good fun. We had a lot of that. There was quite a lot of of chat that was cut out of that one as well. I remember a long discussion about whether you could possibly get 5 under par on a golf hole, for example. Given that the longest holes tend to be a 5, maybe it's a handicap thing. I don't know. But so yeah, there was an awful lot of chat. It was really good fun to film, and yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that came across. It was a nice show. It feels to me that it's a little bit like the last day of school for the question writers, because they do things in there that they couldn't get away with normally. So I'm thinking of the 2 music rounds with the Hallelujah sequence.
Not our best point.
Yeah.
We didn't get it either time. We could have played it again. I still wouldn't have got it. Music and me.
So I thought that was lovely. I guess did that come over to you as a bonus? Yeah, it did, didn't it, Ben? Was that one of those where you sat there thinking, they haven't done it, have they? They haven't. They have.
So it was Alice, because Alice had recognised Alexandra Burke the first time round, and that was why we guessed Will Smith songs, because Bad Boys. We hadn't got the rest, and then she was like, "That's Bad Boys again." And then I think I then sort of said, "I see what they've done here," and so yeah, I think that was the point that we got it. And yeah, it was one of those moments where you're like, "That's really clever. I see what they've done that." And also because it's the third place playoff, you suddenly think, oh, actually, yeah, that's the kind of thing they would do here. And so, whereas in another game you might have thought, surely not. In this, you thought, oh, actually, yeah, I'm sure they have done that.
Yeah. Bombshell in the chat. Benjamin Benoit, who is French, does a watch along in French on Only Connect.
I've taken part a couple of times. I joined him twice during the series and used my old A-level French to give my thoughts.
Sequence was mine. Yeah, lovely. I mean, that was what are you saying here? I hope they're pretty far apart. If the first one was the last one of the first round, if you chose the next round, you're collectively screwed. No, they were far enough separated, I think, that it wasn't, back to back, in which case it probably would have been obvious. But that was a lovely little joke on the part of the writers, I thought. And I just enjoyed that show. That lightness of touch, the Succession and series, Scum and Film. I think that was one. Was it Charlotte got? And I just loved that one as well. I just thought that was a nice, just a lovely question. When you're playing the third, fourth place playoff, and if there's not that much hanging on it, is your brain still kind of, really kind of processing things in the way it normally would be, and the edge there for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think we were just still working out the same way. I think I felt a bit sharper in that one than I did in the semi-final the day before, because we played 2 games in a row. Then we had a nice rest and meal out, and then did this the next day, didn't we?
So this was Sunday morning, if I recall.
Yeah,
it was. We'd had a couple of weeks off because the way they do the sort of 2 halves of the draw separately. So I think I'd had 2 or 3 weeks since our semi-final, so we'd all sort of come back together. We went out on Saturday night, I said a few drinks, not too much. I'm not saying we were hungover, because we weren't, but we'd had a couple of drinks and something to eat, and had a really nice time. And then, it was definitely more, probably slightly different for us than maybe it was for you. But I definitely didn't have the same adrenaline. But I don't think that necessarily makes a difference. I think the adrenaline can help you, but also hinder you. And relaxation can help you and hinder you in the same measure. So I don't think it makes any difference to how well you do.
I always think it's better to be relaxed. I always think I'll do better watching the show on my sofa than I might do actually sitting in the studio. But we played. This was our 4th game in 4 days. Maybe
that's quite a lot to be getting up and getting yourself going on. And
it's not the actual playing the game. It's sort of sitting in the green room and hanging around.
Checking out the hotel and checking in again, and then I lost some stuff.
Dragging your suitcases around
in the room, and I was stressed.
But having said that, they're playing around. Those are still very nice questions. I like the Ingrid's one, which was very nice pick up by the Mercians.
Ingrid, yes.
Yeah, and the Effects of Water one. And that was Jamie. It's like, even though it's the 3rd, 4th place playoff, well, maybe because it's like, let's go for it. Let's fly in. You were doing well anyway in that round, and he went for it. It was just that was a lovely question as well. A nice kind of humorous one.
Well, Jamie was very much on the ball.
He was, and as he was throughout the series. I mean, he's a fantastic player. Now, Ben, we heard. Your team was basically put together by the Only Connect production team. So presumably none of you really had any say in that. It's like we're forming you into a team and you're going on the show. How did you get the real sort of team connection that you obviously did have to get that far? How did you manage to form that from nothing?
I don't know, just natural charisma and friendliness. I think I don't know. We were, we all applied as individuals. I remember we got we each individually got phone calls saying, you're on. We're going to match you. We've matched you up with some people. Then we got an email sort of to the 3 of us saying, here you are. and then we sort of started emailing, and then said, why don't we do before the audition, why don't we do an online call to sort of introduce ourselves and do a little bit of practice, just because I think I'd done one previously where I'd applied as an individual, I think 2 or 3 years ago. And I thought we did quite well in the audition, but there wasn't a lot of chemistry with the team. So we thought, definitely going to practice that one. I remember we sort of turned up at the audition and they said, right, so who's going to be the captain? And we're like, well, we hadn't even thought about that. So for this, I was like, well, and Charlotte, I think maybe an audition, but with a team she'd entered with before. And so we're like, right, let's do it. Let's take it a bit more, be a bit more rigorous about it. So, and in fact, we had our first video call together 1 year ago tomorrow. So it'll be the first anniversary of first speaking tomorrow. And so, yeah, we just did that. And then we auditioned. I think we maybe did 1 or 2 calls before we auditioned. And then we did, a fair few calls to practice, not like hardcore practice, just going through old questions on the Only Connect database and doing some puzzle grids. And yeah, and we just got on really well. So I think there's just a lot of luck involved in that, really, or, good judgment by the production team. But yeah, it just seemed to get on well, like in terms of spread of knowledge, but also just a different sort of personality types as well. It just sort of seemed to click well.
That's interesting, because I didn't know whether they interviewed you as individuals, and then if they liked you, decided you were on, and then put you together with other people they liked. So
no,
putting you together pre-audition, I suppose that's the best way, because you can see the chemistry, the communication, how well you work as a team.
As I say, it just kind of worked. Neither Alice nor Charlotte wanted to be captain. I was happy to. I mean, to be honest, I quite wanted to. So that kind of worked. It just kind of. Yeah, and Charlotte's a bit more chatty during the questions. Alice is a bit more of a thinker, sort of sits and thinks, and then suddenly comes up with something that we haven't seen. So if you watch it, generally it's me and Charlotte sort of chatting all the time. Alice is thinking, and then will suddenly say something. We're like, oh yeah, and pull that in. So it just kind of worked, really. I guess just good luck, really.
Yeah. Whereas the Mercians, you're kind of the opposite in that you knew each other pretty well, and you played Connections Online Quiz League together, so you were kind of well practiced, and you came into this series with an absolute bang with that first episode and the huge score you got, which thinking back to it was just such a fantastic performance. Third place is a fantastic achievement. After that first game, any sense of if things could have been different in that semi, we could have gone on to win it?
No, I don't. I didn't feel disappointed when we lost the semi-final. I just said, once we got to the semi-final, I was thinking, oh, good, we've got the full 5 games. That's what we wanted. We got the maximum number of games, and we just enjoyed it. I don't think I might have got too nervous in the final.
There's enough kudos, I think, in just being on Only Connect anyway. You don't actually need to win it.
I don't think all the best
that T-shirt. Eligible to wear the T-shirt that Pam's modelling.
Yeah. No, I'm going to say I look back and on my experience, I think I would have liked to have won, but actually we did as well as we could do in the context with those questions and the opposition we faced. It's just unfortunate the opposition we faced in the semi-final just were better than us. Damn it.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. And they got the questions that you could have answered. And
well, I mean,
that kind of thing.
To a degree, the problem is the ones we got, they knew as well. So they knew kind of all the answers, and we only knew some of them. So they were definitely better. Sorry, Ben.
But I think, I think for us, I don't know if Pam and Ian, you feel the same, but losing really closely in the semi-final, you kind of think, actually, whatever happens next week, we kind of came really close to, both of us came close to 2 really good teams. And I think that probably qualifies us as good teams as well. And so when you get to that end and it's close in the semi, and I think, well, on another day we might have beaten the Thrifters. I mean, we lost to them twice by 1 point and on a playoff. On another day you might have beaten the Also Rans.
Yes, we have.
There it is, right? another set of questions. That might have been the final tonight, and next week. So
we've since played the also rounds in Connections Online, and once again lost to them by 1 point. So that just confirms everything.
We beat them the first time we played them.
Yeah, we beat them. Yeah, we did.
So it's 2-1 in the series.
Still being quite close.
Aren't the Suncatchers in this next season of Connections Online?
We did last season as well.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, no, so that was the first one. So which started after or during this series was on. So yeah, we did the last series. Started in tier 3, won our group in tier 3, and I think finished second in our group in tier 2. So yeah, good fun.
So you must have been cohesive enough as a team to want to do that then. So
yes, and that was something. Yeah, well, we really got on well, and so it was something we were keen to do, was to sort of have a reason to kind of stay together. And obviously, WhatsApp chat and whatever, but it's quite nice to to do that and carry on quizzing together. None of us had done Cockle before, didn't even know it existed really, to be honest, until it was the Thrifters told us about it. So we were like, yeah, let's give it a go, and it's been really good fun. So really glad to have found that as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think Cockle sort of feels such a need for people who've been on the show and have this thwarted need to to be on it again and so on.
But also for people who love the show but don't want to put themselves in front of a camera as well. People who just want to play the game. It works incredibly well. QuizCentral.net if you want to find out more about Connections Online Quiz League. So it was a nice lead for Mercians after round 1. Round 2, it must have felt good to come back, Ben. There was a fight back in that round.
Yeah,
you knew it wasn't going to be a mauling.
I think all through the series we've done better on round 2 than round 1. I mean, my brain certainly works more in sequences than connections. So I think on a lot of the shows we've not necessarily been behind, but done better on round 2. Yeah, it was quite nice. Bit annoying to miss the one with the women credited in films, because that's the kind of thing I think with a little bit more time you would probably sit there and work out. And I suspect you guys were probably kicking yourselves a bit as well. That you hadn't picked it up, and then the Dylan Thomas one we kind of worked out. We just hadn't quite seen what the sequence was. We knew what it was, which is why we looked kind of slightly vague answering it. But kind of got that one, and then the Henry VIII Wise one, we should probably have gone for a 1 point.
I like that one.
That was just so nice, wasn't it? The Catherine Parr was just such a good gag. You could imagine the writer coming up with that and just chortling to themselves and thinking.
That was my favourite question.
Yeah, it was a really good question. And we should have. I kind of panicked and took the third clue when I think Charlotte had already worked it out. But as I said to someone after, I think one of the producers said to them about that afterwards, and they said, "Oh, wouldn't have mattered because Jamie would still have got all the missing vowels, and you just have lost by 1 less," which was brutal but also fair and very true. So,
and we also had the fun Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one.
That was annoying because we worked that out. We got that from the second thing. We just weren't sure what the order was. And
I remember working on some really highbrow theory that the third picture was the wedding of Cana or something, which it isn't, which is actually, if it had been, it would have been facing the Mona Lisa. So I've got this whole theory going on about works of art facing each other in rooms in the Louvre. And it turned out to be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I was completely off on this theme of highbrow nonsense.
I wouldn't have had a clue what order they were in anyway, because it was. I'm too old for them, and I didn't know. I didn't know they had an order that they went in anyway. So.
No, exactly. Charlotte and I were the right age for it. It's kind of right in our age range. But just to be honest, it was also we just didn't recognize. I mean, apart from the Mona Lisa, I'm not sure we knew who'd done which art. So we were just guessing.
Yeah, the statues in I think it's in the Palazzo Vecchio in Florence. I remember seeing it there. But then that was still, I couldn't remember if it was Raphael or Donatello or, I knew it wasn't Michelangelo or, but then Yeah, I mean, it's a nice question. I just think it's symptomatic of kind of the little kind of latitude they had to play around in this game. Yeah, nice question. 6-8 going into walls. Both of you just made light work of the walls, really. Very nice. Pam stuck to your guns with feathers.
I thought we were going to have an argument about that. He kept saying sword, and I was like, feathers.
If there's one thing you know about Pam, it's feathered things. But I guess that's what you can do with a team who knows each other really well, is you could kind of put your foot down because you're not going to fall out. You know that, you could throw stuff in and people will kind of think, okay, well, there must be something there. It's potentially a different dynamic from a team that's newly formed. I don't know. Maybe it isn't. And Ben, I don't know what you thought when you got to walls. Would you have coped with somebody going, nope, it's this?
I don't know. Yeah, I think we're probably. Yeah, I think as the captain, I probably was maybe a bit more. Well, it depends who it was, right? So if it was friends who I'd known for a long, long time, like school friends or college friends or something like that, I think that might be harder because then you would be a little bit more like, well, I think I know what you know and all the rest of it. Whereas obviously having met them, or even people who sort of met through quizzing, then maybe it's a bit different. But you kind of have to be respectful of what they say they think they know, because there's nothing worse than someone on telly ignoring their teammates and then they turn out to be right, and especially if it's a man ignoring two women, Twitter will go into meltdown. So I was always conscious of trying not to do that. But then sometimes you're the one who has to come up with something and just go with it. So
yeah. But in terms of Mercians, there was a really pivotal moment when Jamie spotted the Stranger Things thing, which I think without that, and Finn Wolfhard is kind of your route into that, but until that point, I think it was looking like you might really struggle to solve that wall, or at least kind of get the 10 points. But again, that's where you're a team that brings different things to the party, don't you? Jamie's bringing
Stranger Things.
Well, I've binge watched all 4 series of Stranger Things just a few weeks before, but I didn't. I was so pleased that Jamie recognised the names of the actor.
Well, who looks at the credits nowadays? That's the thing. When you're streaming, so yeah, you got your 10, you got your feathers, which was good. Suncatchers. Yeah, Ben, you just made very light work of that. I was a little bit worried at the end when you solved the wall that maybe you hadn't had time to just kind of step back and sense check that you got all the connections correctly.
Yeah, we got bogged down in the bogs to start with because there were quite a few of those, and the cycling didn't quite work out. And then once you got that, and then suddenly the heavy metal singers just sort of occurred to me, and then from then on it kind of went fairly quickly. I was glad we didn't have the other one because Stranger Things actors I wouldn't have got anywhere near. Maybe one of the other two might have. I've never watched it. So I know Ian has and didn't get it, but I certainly wouldn't have got it. But that one was quite nice. And actually, across our 6 shows, I think we got 57 points on the walls. So sort of enjoyed them. I mean, the 3 points that got away were the 3 that cost us being in the final last week when we only got, or 2 weeks ago when we only got 7. But yeah, that seemed to, we enjoyed the walls. They were always quite good. And normally this was the only one where we went second on the wall as well, because we'd always been going first. So and we sat on the other side of the studio as well. So it was all very weird.
Bizarre, a different experience of the show. Now we got a controversial point here. Question writers didn't watch the credits as it's Wolfhard, not Wolfhard. So
people on Twitter pointing that out.
Yeah, so you could conceivably have had somebody saying, "Well, it can't be Stranger Things because it's Wolfhard, not Wolfhard." It didn't throw you though. You got Jamie. It didn't throw you. Spotted the rest, so it didn't matter. Chris saying, "Was thinking that Steve assumed I'd got it wrong. That's probably what I would do." Claire thought they were both horrible walls. So that's a finalist paying homage to how well you both did. And she also, on that earlier point, saying, "Put your foot down with a firm hand," as they say.
So that's it'd be interesting to see what the walls are next week, because that was one of the disappointments in not getting to the final, because I always love the sort of, the ones when they're just all numbers or all just, abbreviations or collections of letters and ones like that. So it would have been really good. I mean, I don't know what they get, obviously, but it would have been really good fun to get some. I was a bit disappointed. I mean, these walls were good, but I was a bit disappointed they weren't like quirky special ones, because they were always fun.
Yeah, we had one. They did a special one on Cockle, didn't they? And we did a final that had all numbers on it. We sold that. That was one of my favourite ones they did. It was just the whole thing was numbers.
Yeah, they had one a couple of years ago where they did all numbers, didn't they? Because they had like years of UK general elections and square numbers or cube palindromes. Anyway,
that just suits us, isn't it? With Jamie and his maths, and I like the sort of weird things. And Ian's computing as well. Yeah, numbers thing would have suited us.
Well, Claire has given us a little tidbit. Ours is nothing if not interesting.
Spoilers.
Well, I can't wait.
Yeah, we're keen to watch next week.
Benjamin, our lips are sealed.
No idea what happens.
And we will be having finalists with us next week, so we look forward to chatting to them about it. So it's tight. 2 points going into the final, missing vowels. And we know how good Jamie is. Did you know how good Jamie was?
No, because we were on the other side of the draw. We had absolutely no idea, to be honest. So, I mean, it didn't surprise me, given, how he was through the rest of the quiz. But no, we didn't know. And we got the first one. I think I got the first one. Yeah. I thought, maybe we could be all right here. And then he just took over. I think Charlotte got another one, and then, and then he just took over. Honestly, it was awesome to watch, actually, in the studio, because they were tough missing vowels. They were tough sets. And the speed with which he was getting them was just unbelievable. It was incredible to sit there.
Often in connections online, some of the missing, or only consonants, as they call it there, are much more complicated than the ones you get on the TV show. Yeah. And he just sees them.
To be honest, I normally do pretty well on the ones on Cockle. I tend to do fairly well on the complicated ones, but he was just so fast, just unbelievable.
Mind you, Pam was saying earlier that you were sometimes the one buzzing in, but then you start talking and Jamie.
At the same time as Jamie, and then I realise he's talking, so I tend to just stop and let him finish the sentence. But because you don't know who's, I know I buzzed and we were both speaking, and then I just said, I'll let him finish the sentence. So I sort of, he then made me laugh, and I just tail off and let him finish.
Because it was different when we were on back in my day, because we only had one buzzer per team, so it was like Ask the Family, with everybody reaching across and kind of hands on hands, and if you were the top hand, you had to push everybody else's hands down. It was
like a Ouija board or something.
it was odd. That's for sure. But you certainly knew kind of who was the one who was doing the pressing in that context. Whereas you say, with 3 different buzzers per team, you might all go for it at the same time, and you're not sure which one of you. So you just hope you don't misspeak at that point, because that would be
that's probably why I stopped halfway through to kind of start up. But I think, I'll just let him finish.
Yeah.
Also, it must have been a COVID thing then.
I think so. I think they brought that in because when they had the screen separating people, they had to have it as a different solution. And I think the show's better for it. I never quite understood why they didn't run to 6 buzzers rather than 2. But yes, show's better for it. 25-17. I don't think there are times when missing vowels can kind of skew the difference between the teams. I think in general play there wasn't that much between you. Missing vowels, if you're consistently a fraction ahead, that can make all the difference. A very good win for the Mercians. Suncatchers, still a very good performance. What do you take away from your Only Connect experience? What's the kind of legacy it leaves with you as an individual, as a quizzer? Ben, let's start with you.
I've really enjoyed it. First of all, it's just I've been watching for, I've watched every episode of every series, and normally my wife is there going, They said, "Go on, you do it. You should go on. You should apply." Particularly in that mid-series bit when Victoria's always said, "If you fancy a go, have a go." So that'll be one change because she won't be able to sit there, nagging me to go on anymore. But so obviously, I made two really good friends, Alice and Charlotte, and then also met a lot of other great people. Through the series, great time with the Mercians, the Thrifters in particular, who we've become good friends with, and it's kind of got me into organized quizzing really, which I wasn't. I've always liked quizzing and I've always enjoyed it and done bits, but I've never haven't really got into online quizzing or any sort of serious stuff. So it's actually been quite nice to to kind of find a route into that, and and I think just really proud of how we did, say, as a scratch team, none of whom do a lot of quizzing really. We're just people who happen to like it and be reasonably okay at it, and so to come together and do that, it's just been brilliant. And the reaction from people, people getting in touch who I've not spoken to for years. My mum's reconnected with one of her friends that she'd lost touch with, who sort of messaged me out of the blue on Facebook as a result of it. And it's just been a brilliant experience from start to finish. So yeah, thoroughly recommend it to anyone
Lovely.
who thinks they might want to do it.
Benjamin's put here, just figured out Suncatchers were the only team to have 6 matches this series.
Ooh.
Congratulations, with a bazillion music clues. So you actually got kind of the XL experience, not just the standard experience.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got your money's worth. Now, Ian and Pam, your experience is going to be different because you're both experienced quizzers. You both played together before. But what do you take away from the experience?
Well, I felt it was such a nice thing to do. It was because both me and Pam have been on a few quiz shows before, and without wanting to diss any of the quiz shows, there was a particularly welcoming feeling about being on this show. You actually felt you were valued as a contestant. There's a friendly environment. The people were friendly. You weren't sort of just going through the machinery.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, Pam?
Yeah, I think I was lucky with my very first one, Impossible. That was very friendly. And you did hang around with all the people that you were there for like 3 days. And but then this was even better. Anything in between's been a bit.
Yeah, it felt like a holiday, really, rather than.
Oh yeah.
It did, didn't it?
Everybody was friendly. Contestants were friendly. All the people who worked there were friendly.
Has it given you any extra kind of confidence or impetus after playing and doing so well?
I think I do, because I didn't have that great experience in Mastermind. Well, in my head, I didn't. I wasn't that bad. And then Eggheads didn't go well. You're thinking, oh God, this is putting myself on the telly again. At least this one's got a lot better, and I've had so many nice comments from hundreds of people. Come out the woodwork I haven't seen for years.
You'd be recognised in the street.
I was recognised in a hotel on holiday.
Oh, were you?
She kept staring at me, and then she said she thought she knew me from somewhere. And I said, "Do you watch the telly?" And she got so excited. She kept saying, "I'm so excited! I'm so excited to meet you."
It's nice when you get that sort of reaction. Yeah, you haven't had that yet, Ian?
Sorry?
You haven't had that sort of reaction yet?
No, nobody's recognised me. Not that I ever go out into the street very often. I'm a recluse. So, nobody in Kidderminster Sainsbury's has sort of rushed up to me at all.
You said your sons were more impressed by this than other things you've been on.
Oh, they're friends, yeah, because a lot of students watch it. Maybe because my one son who's still at uni says his friends were quite impressed, I think.
Nice. Quite impressed is high praise indeed for kids of that age. Claire says Dan from the Also Rans was saying yesterday he was recognised by 5 random blokes at the NEC. There you go. You just never know when that'll happen. It's just been absolutely lovely watching you. I think I'm just trying to find where it was said earlier. and Benjamin. Love you guys, two brilliant teams. You were great fun to watch. You brought different things to the show, but you brought really, really good Only Connect quizzing. We like playing along, but we also like watching really good teams solve the things that we have no clue on. And both of you did that, and in spades, and it was absolutely a joy to watch you. And we hope that we will see you on something again. Ben, are you tempted to go for more TV quizzing?
Yeah, I would do. So my kids, and they're like 7, nearly 8, and they're pestering me to go on something where you can win money. So definitely. So yeah, I might do. I put an application for the Chase. I mean, I don't know whether they want people who've already been on Only Connect or not. I don't know. I don't know. That's really hard to get on. I'd like to have a crack at Mastermind at some point, but I just don't have the time to do the series revision, partially because of the 2 little kids. So at some point, I think I could probably do the general knowledge, but the specialists, subject, I'd need a bit of time to do that. I've chucked in an application for Brain of Britain, which I'd never listened to before this series. I listened to it on. I don't like Radio 4. I probably shouldn't say that in case anyone from Brain of Britain that listen to that. I don't really listen to Radio 4, but I thought that might be
Brain of Britain. I've been on Brain of Britain. It's a very
nice. I heard you on there.
Yeah,
I heard you on there.
Okay.
Yeah, you were on the series, weren't you, Ian? Semi-finals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was finalist. I was a runner-up in the final in 2016.
Yeah. Oh, 2016. Wow.
So I was a bit ambitious to go in for it again, thinking I could better that. But
yeah. I think there's more questions on there about stuff that's probably not in my, not in my specialisms. There's a bit, there's classical music and stuff like that, which is not my stuff. So yeah, I would like to do more.
Pam and Ian, are we likely to see you on anything? Any applications in the works?
Pondering Brain of Britain. I can be in the background in radio, perhaps. But
it's a rare thing because you sit in front of an audience in Brain of Britain, which is it's a rare thing these days in quizzing.
I don't think I'll be any good at Jeopardy. I think I'll be I don't think I'll be quick enough. We need to get Jamie on that.
Yes. Yeah, it would be very good.
Ian,
you tempted? I mean, you're a recidivist, so I'm sure we'll probably see you again.
I twisted my son's arm to apply for 007 Road to a Million before.
Oh, wow. Okay. Excellent.
But along with about 500,000 other people, probably, so that's unlikely. But the general knowledge questions in that, when you got to them, were a bit weird. So
I don't know who Chris is saying this about.
He's probably saying it to me.
But we're likely to see you on Crime Watch, Pam.
Later.
Whatever it is, we really look forward to seeing you on those shows. It's just been an absolute delight chatting to you over these weeks. I mean, Ian, Pam, it's like, the last few weeks you've been residents on Quizzy Monday, and Ben, not that far different with the way quarterfinals and semi-finals worked out.
Yeah.
So, Only Connect is now nearly over, but we are pleased and delighted with how things have gone this series, and thank you so much for coming on the show. You're welcome to stay around as we talk about Mastermind and University Challenge, but equally, as you know, welcome to leave us. But Ben, Pam, Ian, thank you so much for coming on tonight and chatting. We really appreciate it, and we'll be back in 30 seconds or so. Have you been waiting for a range of quiz merchandise to come on the market? Then wait no more. Whatever type of quizzer you are, whether you're a flashcarder, or you quiz with pride, or want to celebrate great quizzers like Millionaire Champions, or Bill McCaig, the king of 15 to 1, or your favourite TV shows, or even your favourite YouTube channel, where do you go? The answer's loading. It's tinyurl.com/ATQ store. So, thank you so much to Ben, Ian, and Pam for joining us. We are going to look at Mastermind and University Challenge and the news from the world of quiz. And then that'll be our show for this week. Just to let you know, coming up on Sunday is All Things Quiz members quiz. To come along and play with us, just go to patreon.com/allthingsquiz and you can sign up for the free trial or you can sign up for a membership. I think Shanine did last week or last month, and enjoyed it enough to stay with us. So come along, join us, have fun with the group. Mastermind. These were the subjects that we had, and the predictions, most common predictions, the Chocolat novels, Les Celeste, Praline, Pantouflet, and the Lollipop Trees. Don't think any of them came up. George Best, West Bromwich Albion, the mighty Northampton Town, and Los Angeles Aztecs. And the first question in that one was the mighty Northampton Town, although they left out the requirement to say the mighty. I'm not sure I'm overly impressed by whoever wrote those questions, putting an infamous Cobbler's defeat in there. But, that's kind of what you get with that significant in the career of George Best. Alcibiades, which was taken on by Katie Marchant, Tissaphernes, Socrates, and Delium. I don't think any of those came up. I'm looking at Valerie and the Rolling Stones, Marquee Club, Mick Taylor, and Sticky Fingers. Again, I don't think they came up either. So I'm not quite sure what that means for our prediction competition. Let's see who scored points. Ed Mason in a comeback. He got 4 points. 3 points, Ken McKenzie, Philip Isaac, Tim Hall, Toby Atala, Joe Ashdown, Pam. Pam's always picking up points. 2 points for Pam. The mysteriously mononymed Benny got 1 point. Michael McPartland and Rob Jones also got a point. Just to remind you, 2 points for a unique answer in a specialist subject. 1 if you get an answer somebody else got, and 3 points for an answer in general knowledge. No general knowledge points this week, though, I don't think. So, well done to Ed. That's going to make a slight change at the top of the table. Where Ed has pulled it back to a 2-point deficit now. Philip still leads after 21 weeks. There are 10 weeks to go. Still plenty of points to play for. It does now start to look like maybe that top 5 is where we're going to be seeing the champion coming from. But who knows? Who knows? There are lots and lots of points to come. Next week, if you want to play along, the subjects are Medieval Cathedrals of England, Dolly Parton, the life and works of Alfred Wainwright, and the political career of Robert F. Kennedy. Submit your predictions to tinyurl.com/mm-predict-23. Get the predictions in by Sunday at what time, Valerie? 9 o'clock in the evening on Sunday if you want to be playing along. Plenty of time now. You've got a week to get your predictions in on that. So it was a good game, I thought. Very, very tight match. Sarah Thornton, who won, I'm pretty sure she's been on Mastermind and done well before. I'm just having a look at now in the comments if anybody's Claire's put Parton, not the sheep. Yeah, so Dolly the Parton, not Dolly the sheep. Oh, Steve Oldham's, Chris Dice is saying he thinks Tissaphernes came up. We'll check that just to be sure. But yeah, she did really, really well on Chocolat. She got 12. I think she got 12 out of 12. So really good performance. Sean Hockey on George Best got 10. Again, a very strong performance. Double figures. This series is a good performance. And Katie Marchant, one thing that was really good about Katie's performance, she was so quick answering, which meant that right at the death, she got a 13th question in. I think it was, 13 questions. And that meant that she was a share of top place with 12 at halfway. And Ian coming on the Rolling Stones, huge topic. He struggled a bit with it. You kind of felt for the guy. It just didn't happen. You've got 60 years of history of the band. There was just so much to cover. He got 3 points. So he was adrift at halftime. Now, Katie, would have helped if I got the 13th question right. I mean, yeah, when you lose by 1, and I know that from bitter experience, there's lots of what ifs, but you played so well. Claire says, what has Katie been on before? University Challenge. Katie was a really, really top University Challenge player 2 series ago, I think. Or was it 1 series? Steve was saying on UC last year. So a fine pedigree with Katie there in terms of, you could tell it, the preparation was superb, the speed of answering, the precision was great. Yeah, missing one is going to be annoying, but when you pick up 12 and you're in a share of the lead at halfway, you can't knock it. And then we had some brilliant general knowledge performances. Ian came back from his 3 with a 12 to bring in 15, and you got to feel good for him. That he did score well. He came back and scored well. And then what do we have? It was Sean. Sean gets 12. I thought Sarah had a bit of a tricky set. And yeah, she kind of battled her way to 11 and 23 being the lead. And then it was up to Katie. Could Katie get better or equal at least that 11? And it just didn't quite work at the end. I'd be really interested, Katie. It's a shame you weren't able to come on, because I think there are a number of questions there, the Vermeer and Gymkhana. I bet if you weren't under time pressure and if you weren't under the lights and you just had an extra 5 or 10 seconds to think, that you would have got those. I don't think it was lack of knowledge that cost, that decided the match tonight, because you clearly know some fantastic stuff. It just didn't quite, mesh with you. And when you're in that seat and you need to be getting the answers out quickly and you've got a good target to be beating, you don't feel like you can spend time thinking and dredging out answers. But 22 points in what I think is your first mastermind adventure is just a really, really good performance. I've said it many times on this show. First time is for reconnaissance. Every reason to think, if you go back on Mastermind again, that you can build on what you learned this time and you can make your way through a heat into the semi-finals and who knows and beyond. It was such a tight match. 2 22s and a 23. It was exciting. It was really good quality. We've seen many shows that haven't been quite as top drawer as that in terms of performances, and a marker of how good the players were. I think this week particularly was, there wasn't the kind of the willy-nilly passing. There was some really good strategic play as well. They were just very, very finely matched. Sarah, I think, has been on the show before, and I'm pretty sure she was a semi-finalist previously. I'm not surprised that she went through. I was willing Katie on because Katie's been on this show. We know how good she is, and she's a lovely person. Didn't quite happen this time. I'm sure it will happen at some point in the future. So that was Mastermind. University Challenge was a really interesting show. We got Imperial, have been perennial high scorers this series, and they've got, again, fine pedigree. Actually, let's have a look. Ed is saying, always a shame with such close scores at the top. The high scoring runners are no longer runs up and no longer a thing. Indeed, it would be interesting to see how that will pan out when we get to the end of this round, to see who might have made it if there had been a higher scoring losers addition to each semi-final. So we had Sheffield against Imperial, 2 really good teams, and they were trading blows early on. Then Imperial pushed out to quite a lead, and then Sheffield pulled it back. It looked like being a very, very tight match, but Imperial just kept Sheffield at arm's length enough to get the win by, I think, 35 points. So really kind of a couple of starters and a few bonuses. There was not that much in it. Really entertaining. Matthew Nail had a very good match for Sheffield. Got some great buzzes. Debnath for Imperial also performed really well. But in both teams, every single player got starters. And I think that is markers of really good, well-balanced teams, competitive teams, 8 different players getting starters throughout the match. Really, really good sign. So well done to Imperial. The good thing for Sheffield is that they're not out. In this round, they get another 2 shots at it. They need to win the next 2 matches to get through to semi-finals. And they look semi-final caliber. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens to them. Imperial, well, what can you say about Imperial College teams, particularly when they've got the likes of Fatima and Michael helping train them, and who knows who else, T'other Michael from the other year. We'll see. they look like they are potential finalists as well. They're just a very, very strong and well-balanced team. So that is University Challenge. From 2 weeks' time, we're going to have No Only Connect, and we're going to be talking much more about Mastermind and University Challenge as the shows go on. But back to Quiz Week and the news from the world of quiz. Quizzer of the week, not last week, the week before, was Tim Hall. Nikki Coburn, for her Brain of Britain performance, was second. Dan Burgess, third. Mercians, who we saw again today, they were first. Joint second were the Thrifters and Sheffield University. So familiar look to some of those. We're at that stage of the season where teams keep recurring. This week's nominations are for broadcast quizzing. We got Stephen Draper and James Bingham, who both won heats of Counterpoint in the last 2 weeks. We didn't do nominations last week, so we got 2 weeks of stuff to have here. Julia Ashcroft and Sarah Thornton for winning the Mastermind heats. And if you've been watching Jeopardy, Michael Hutchinson, previously of Birmingham University Challenge, had a 5-day streak on Jeopardy, which is the longest streak so far. So well done to Michael. He gets a nomination in Quiz Leagues. Well, Evan Lynch and Victoria Gross both got 15 out of 15 in International Culture Challenge. International Culture Challenge, the competition of the year at the World Quiz Awards. Well done to both of those. And of course, Victoria, World Quizzer of the Year at the World Quiz Awards. So they're both hitting the ground running this year. Full houses in OQL for Colin Daff and Joe Crowther, Amy Godel, Kevin Ashman and Sean Webb. In Quiz League of London, Dow Jackson and Mark Eves got full houses. And in Mimi as well, Mark Grant and Keshava Guha, who also did well on Jeopardy a couple of weeks back. They both got 14 out of 15. So you can now vote for 24. And for Team of the Week, also Rans for their win last week in the semi-final. The Mercians for their third place on Only Connect. For University Challenge, we've got Manchester University and Imperial College for their wins in the quarterfinals so far. Quiz Leagues, we had this one written into us. The White Hart in Eynsham, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. They play in the Oxfordshire Quiz League. They got their best score in 20 years of playing, and they're a Division 2 team, and they're playing a Division 1 team. So well done to them. They get a nomination. Palante were the top scorers in Connections Online Quiz League's Cross Pond Challenge. That's where the best of the American Connections League and the best of the UK one play off against each other to find the global champion of Connections quizzing. And in Online Quiz League, Dionysus Appreciation Society scored a monster 58 points. So again, tinyurl.com/QW22Jan24. Stuff coming up. I talked about it. The All Things Quiz on the 28th of January. That's this Sunday, 8 p.m. on Zoom. Come along, have a go. It's a team quiz, so you get to meet people and quiz together. It should be good fun. Some interesting questions will be thrown in for you to deal with. So look out for that. Go to patreon.com/all things quiz if you want to come along. Pop Culture Challenge is coming up. The deadline for that is 27th of January. It starts on the 29th. So really, that's quite a tight turnaround. 5 days you've got to get your application in for the Pop Culture Challenge. There's a Quest Grand Prix on the 5th of February. There's a deadline, Quiz Nations Global. Now, you probably heard us talk about Quiz Nations previously, Quiz Nations Asia Pacific, Quiz Nations Portugal, maybe Quiz Nations Germany. There was Quiz Nations a couple of years ago and a Champions League. They've reformulated the whole thing into one single competition, which will be kind of national and regional, and then will work its way through to global finals. So there's a 5th of February deadline for getting teams in if you want to play in that. So it will be geographically bound initially. Just Google Quiz Nations if you want to know about that, or sign up for our newsletter. There's a link in the newsletter, which will be going out tomorrow morning. Connections Online Quiz League starts 13th of February, so go to quizcentral.net if you want to play Only Connect style quizzing. Bundesliga have their summer showdown 11th to 12th of May. If you're an Indian-based quizzer, that's for you. And Blackpool, the OQL weekender is 26th to 28th of July. All of our links and stuff that's going on are at Linktree. You've got the link down there, or our website at allthingsquiz.com. I believe that's probably everything, except to remind you that you can nominate any team or any player for Quizzer and Team of the Week at tinyurl.com/ATQ nominations. So that is it for this week. I'm just looking at the chat to see what we've got. So there's some discussion about mastermind subjects, about the time needed for writing sets. Lots to go into there. So that's why the discussion about why they don't have high scoring losers in the semi-finals. Be interesting to know the reason why they don't. They used to do it, so clearly it's possible. Ed's saying they'd know the highest scorers at the end of the week of the recording of the heat, so not that much time difference for question writers or contenders. And it was always anyway, when I was competing in Mastermind, there were different recording blocks, even in round one. And I always make sure I was in the first recording block, so I had longer to prepare for the semi-finals. But those who were in the second recording block got maybe up to 6 weeks less. So I don't know if that's still how they do things, but there's always been potential inequalities in how long people have, but then cut your cloth accordingly with the subject you pick. So we don't know why they don't do it. I suspect it's probably more about what's commissioned by the BBC. It won't be a production company choice, but we'll see if we can find out at some point. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks to our guests, Ben, Ian, and Pam once more. Next week is the Only Connect final. That will, of course, take our attention. We'll be graced with the presence of some of the finalists, which will be really exciting to talk about what promises to be a really, really great final with two great teams. Looking forward to that. Until next week, have a fantastic week. Look after yourselves, enjoy your quizzing, and we will see you again very soon. Until then, goodbye.